Life. What is real anymore? It's time to pull back the curtains of reality and explore life in the hologram. We've unlocked our library hidden deep within the matrix and are ready to take you on a tour of the cosmos. Come in as we discuss everything from spirituality, psychics, healers, ghosts, as well as UFOs, and the unknown. It's time to forget what you think you know and explore life in the hologram.
It stopped so quick.
I do it every week.
That's how we're exploring, right?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's a good something somewhere in the universe as we speak, and welcome to Life in the Hologram on Revolution Radio. Well, we had some excitement here today in Pennsylvania. I'm sitting in my bedroom, and I got out my phone to send out my cards, and all of a sudden, the floor starts shaking and the walls start shaking. And I'm there, wow, what's going on here? So my granddaughter texts me and says, oh, did you feel that? I said, I sure did. She said, we had an earthquake. I said, an earthquake? Me, I thought I was having a paranormal experience. But no, it was an earthquake.
Wow.
So that was exciting. And it was weird, though, because I asked my daughter-in-law, did you feel it? And she said, no. And when I picked up my great-grandson at nursery school, one lady said she didn't feel it at all where she lives in Berks County. Another one, she felt it, but her husband didn't feel it. You know, people in the same house. That is really strange. And then another strange thing was it's like my other great-grandson was getting his adenoids out and his ears fixed today at the Reading Tower Health Hospital. And my son was in it was Reading Hospital then. In 1990, he had a bad car accident and there was an earthquake then. Yeah, that's what I said. And both in April. Now, Sean's accident was more towards the end of April, and this is the beginning of April. But that was like, what are those?
So close. Mm-hmm.
That's really weird.
I agree.
If you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
But I picked a little card here. It says, use your discernment. See the truth. Be guided. Trust your inner knowing.
Fantastic.
And you had a little sojourn over the weekend. You went into the forest or?
No, I just switched off the internet.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought you went into the forest.
No, I said to you, I'm going off grid. So I turned everything off.
Off-grid means to me.
Well, you know, like I'm on the coast, so like when I go, like, I mean, there is a feeling of living on the coast. There is a feeling that it's kind of vacation. You know, there's something about it that can feel that way. So yeah. And I spent a lot of time like just kind of walking around. But I do that normally. But I was getting really, I don't know, I just felt, I've not been liking Facebook for a long time.
Yeah.
And I mean, I used to, every once in a while, I would like get on a roll and I'd post and I'd do things. And I've not really had that in a long time. I haven't felt that I want to do that. But I've been doing other things, you know. I've been writing, doing a lot of reading. So, like, yeah, I just seem to be moving in different directions and kind of going with the flow of things. Yeah. And we have a tremendously gifted guest, don't we, Madeline?
Yeah.
You go back.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. And I'm going to...
started out with me on Life in the Hologram. but it wasn't his gig.
Yeah. So, like, we had a little chat before we came live here, and John was saying, like, his bio, like, I didn't really know if you wanted me to read it or not want me to read it, but it gives people, like, at least if somebody's listening for the first time, you know, it kind of gave them a wee bit of an idea of your life and your background and how you have come to now be here with us, which we're absolutely delighted about. I'm going to hit the camera, and then I'm going to read through it, okay? Let's see. So, John Poginy, and I hope I pronounced that right. For as long as he could remember, John felt trapped in his wanderlust youth, often staring at the mountains on the horizon, wondering what adventures and places awaited. At his first opportunity to leave the farm, he began an international tour via the U.S. Navy. His observations of the Orient and the tropical island inhabitants showed him much, and it led to his realizing his lack of zeal for military and nautical living. By 1973, he renewed his status as a civilian. In 1974, the wanderlust was beckoning. He embarked on a cross-country tour of the US, which led him to many great places and adventures. It wasn't until he saw the geographic wonders, a giant, this is going to be a hard one for me to pronounce, saguaro cactus silhouetted against a full moon, felt the stillness of the desert, and experienced the unique blend of Spanish and Native American cultures, that he found what he'd been looking for. The wonders of AZ, Arizona, were not only enough to capture his attention, they were also magical enough to hold it. He never saw the horizon as a physical boundary again. The 70s continued while he studied philosophy, literature, and drama at the University of Arizona. He engaged nature as an observer and guest, as did the Native Americans. He absorbed the spirit of the Sorano Desert, laid in the diva spirits of the Ricon Mountains to the San Francisco peaks, and floated in the Salt, Verde, and Colorado rivers. The 80s were spent raising a family in the corporate world, but by the early 90s he saw that this as simply lacking a purpose. He studied meditation and obscure rituals, shamanic works, yogis, Di Mello, Young, Castaneda, and Erickson, and many more. Once again, he found a niche in the etheric layers and the inexhaustible realms of consciousness. After receiving and studying many practices and mystic modalities, John began working to help others. Exposed to hypnosis by a friend, he saw how it brought consciousness to higher levels, matrix to energetics, and meditation to great depths. While learning professional uses for hypnosis, he enhanced his own meditation skills and intuition. He used a blend of modalities and processes he developed and calls expanded awareness. By 2006, had received many certifications as a hypnotist, clinical, advanced, and master, and stage hypnosis for the lighter side. John earned his credentials and was awarded the CHT, Certified Hypnosis Trainer, by the National Guilds. And I think I'm going to stop there and actually welcome John to the show.
Welcome.
And
hello.
What is going on in your life now, John?
Well, it's one of those transitional periods again, you know, but I look at them now, not with disdain. I look at it and say, oh, what new fun is going to be occurring here. I really enjoy a lot of what this earth has got to give us, you know, and the thing is I have a tendency to really focus in one area, and I lose myself in it because it's so vast in itself. And after exploring that, I come back out and I say, okay, where else can we go? So I'm in search of another venue, so to speak. I'm not lost for any. There's plenty of them to choose from.
Which one is that?
Yeah.
The glamping, camping resort?
A lot of them are still very active. I'm still very active in a lot of those things. I still like to lay in the rivers. And by the way, Carolyn, it's the saguaro cactus is what you were having.
The saguaro. Thank you.
But with that, it seems to, in the last 20, 30 years now, it seems to be very organic. I just transition rather than I say, okay, I want to go and do this. I like to leave it as, what's going to happen? And I find myself just in a trajectory and find myself in a new place. And it's like, oh, this is what's going on. This is what's happening. So to describe it at this time may be a little foolhardy, but we'll probably talk about that more in the show today.
That's fascinating. Mm-hmm.
So what is it that we would kick this off with today? I was looking at a lot of things in the last couple of months that caught my attention. And there's a lot of talk, whether it be sound or not, but on manifestation. And right away, when you say manifestation, most people will jump up and say, oh, I would love to manifest money. I would love to learn how to manifest a new house or things like a seer. And that's wonderful. And it's not that it can't be done. But understand, above all, whatever is happening throughout the day, every breath you take, you have manifested. You have just manifested. You've manifested a breath. You have manifested the in, the out of it. A lot of this became very aware. I became very aware of it when I was doing hypnosis with my clients. Many of them would come in and they say, I'd like to know how to get rid of this, or I'd like to know how to bring this into my life and all this here. But rarely was there anyone clear as to why they were doing it. Why are you trying to get rid of this? Why are you trying to bring this in? A lot of times, what we're looking for in a change is to eliminate an aversion we have to something, or to bring something in that we're attracted to, but we have no understanding what the consequences of that will be. And so slowly, what my job, I felt at that point, what my work was, and Sadhguru has some wonderful things on that. The one thing that I would put in front was to make sure that if we go anywhere, rather than trying to manifest something, let's try to put this in the forefront, and that would be clarity. If you have clarity, never mind manifesting the rest of it, because clarity will tell you how to manifest. Clarity will tell you how to eliminate what you don't want in your life. Clarity will tell you how to bring something in your life that you're wanting. Because 99.9% of us who are struggling with something, it's not what we think it is. And again, 99.9% of the time is, and I will make up these percentages as we go along. You don't have to verify them. Just trust me that they're accurate, okay? 99.9. It's not 99.8, okay? But just know those percentages are accurate. Most of the time, people will get something and then they're tired of it. They're tired of it. And they want something new. Well, I find that very much. I like my grand adventures, and when I'm done, I want another one. Well, there's nothing wrong with that, but knowing why you want it and what you're getting yourself into is very important, because just plain manifestation itself, big deal. It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult because you're already doing it. Mm-hmm. The course is about learning, and I'm not saying a course that I'm offering. No, the course of manifestation comes from a clarity of what you want, how to get it, and knowing how to direct what you are already doing. You're already manifesting. You're already manifesting. So it's very, it's kind of a letdown to think, well, where's the magic then? For all these years, I've heard about this, the law of attraction, and those things are all right. But there's sometimes we have groundwork to do before we're given the abilities to be able to do that. In other words, manifesting $1 million or a new wife, a big house, or whatnot. Many a times it's best for us not to have those things until we're ready to receive them. It's like going to the 7th grade and skipping all the prior classes before. Now, where are you? So you miss a lot. And no matter what I have experienced in life, every one of those things that I've experienced has had a place, a purpose. And in retrospect, I can look at them and say, oh, having done that, now this makes sense over here. So everything is tied together. So before we get any further, I would like everyone so that we get on the same page, so we have the right narrative, let me frame this. If you would allow me just for a moment to ask you to indulge me on this, because whenever I do a talk, especially live or whatever, I learned this was I do a sort of a meditative guidance to bring us all on the same track. So if you just allow me to do this, relax. Allow yourself just to be calm. Close your eyes if you like. That works better for so many. And I want you to imagine. And when you imagine, I want you really to imagine. I mean, I want you to blow the doors off with your imagination. And in order to imagine, try this. As you're imagining, now imagine your imagination in work. So you're imagining, but you're also imagining your imagination at work. And as you're doing this, now imagine all of this together. And as you're wondering, what the hell is he talking about? Just keep imagining. Never mind. Trust. Just trust that your imagination is what everything around you has created. You have manifested everything that you are surrounded. The good, the bad, it doesn't make any difference. Everything has been brought about by you through your imagination. Now, I want you to imagine an old-time radio, one with a dial. Now, take that dial and turn it to 96.7. Now, the reason I'm asking you to do that is so that we are all listening to the very same frequency, because there's infinite amounts of frequencies going on. So right now, in order to get the most we can out of this, is to allow yourself to tune in to 96.7. Just stare at the dial, stare at it, focus on it, and once you feel it, then let it go. Once you feel it, let it go. There you go. Now you are all dialed in. Those who have done it, you're dialed into 96.7. So everything that we're going to be talking about, whether it be Carolyn, Madeline, or myself, callers, whatever, we will all be dealing with 96.7. We're connected now. We are all connected. You have just manifested a singular frequency that we can all work from. All right? Some of you may feel it, some of you may not. It doesn't make any difference. You are connected. Now, to know what manifestation is, one, let's look at how we manifest. You can manifest your day, whether it be a good one or a bad, by your attitude, how you see things. Manifestation often starts, your manifested day often starts with a judgment. It's a good day. It's a bad day. Well, if it's a good day, keep feeding it. If it's a bad day, switch it. It's as simple as that. I remember clients would say, yes, I keep changing my thought patterns, but the old ones come right back. So what should I do? Well, keep changing it. Just keep changing it, and eventually the old ones will drop, and you will follow the new one. These disturbance patterns are embedded in us. They've come from our upbringing, social, governmental, media, you name it. We are so influenced in so many ways that we look at what is going on and we judge it. Oftentimes it's prejudged for us and we're just following what we were told it is. If you look, and please, no political stuff here. I'm just saying many of us are, say, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, because our parents were. So we learned that from our parents. Maybe their parents were. So these are hand-me-down. There's nothing wrong with that. We're not judging anything. And the whole purpose of this show today is to show how we can let go of our judgments and allow ourselves to go into a calm, meditative state and go through our day, and we will pick and choose how we want to feel throughout that day. You say, well, doesn't that call for a judgment? It calls for an assessment, but you get to pick it. And if you don't believe it, you're going to have difficulty manifesting the kind of day that you want. It's as simple as that. So before you start manifesting millions of dollars in big houses, why don't we just start manifesting how you enjoyed your breakfast today? Well, the toast was too hard and the waitress was slow and this whatnot. Okay, just hold on. The toast was just fine. The waitress was on time. Everything was good. In other words, we have the ability to tell ourselves how things are. If you want to choose and say, all the negative stuff that you think you're experiencing, when in essence it can be as good as it is bad, you're in charge. You are in charge. If you enjoy being negative, then enjoy it. But don't complain about it. Because then you have two problems. I enjoy doing it, and now I'm complaining about it. So leave it alone. What we were trying to do here today is just show how simple the frequencies, everything is a frequency. It's a vibration. Nothing is at rest. If it's at rest, wow, you have reached a very high level of consciousness. That's what total consciousness, total, complete joy, love, and whatnot feels like. There's no vibration. There's no movement. You just are. And when you are, you're in connection with everything else that is. So with that, I'd like to just stimulate this and see where you'd like me to go with this here. I've just laid a foundation out for you and let you know how simple it is.
You woke up.
You woke up? Well, you were supposed to
come back.
Well, see, I will say, now I've known Madeline for many years, and she was one of my favorite, not clients. We used to trade off energy work, and and Madeline was one of my favorite. Her and Sue Kelly, another great friend, common friend of Madeline and I. They were my two favorite subjects to meditate with and talk meditation and stuff, but they were also my favorites to hypnotize because they were so easy. They're somnambulists, and where their minds allow you to go, made for reams of books to be written about them. I mean, they were just wonderful subjects, and we had a lot of fun doing it. And from that's why I know Madeline is following this here. I'd like to know more about where you would like to see this manifestation go. I know you're a master manifester yourself, so.
Caroline or me? Well, I was afraid if I didn't open my eyes, I'd be going away. And the next thing you know, I'd be channeling.
Okay, all right. everything you have in you is the basis of how your day will go. That's the important thing to understand. You can change the thought pattern that you are following. If you are following a negative one, you can stop and you can change it. That's why I start everything out with like, look, let's put everything aside. We'll go all on the same page. If you do enough of that, you get very good at it. As a matter of fact, Abraham Hicks talks about whenever you try to manifest something and you see a sign that something is occurring or whatever, tell yourself, hey, I'm getting good at this. Compliment yourself. Encourage yourself to eliminate. And it's not a negativity as a good and bad. It's a negativity or a positive in how you feel. It has nothing to do with good and bad. That's a judgment. You go with how you feel, how you resonate. How is that vibration working inside of you? All right? And if you feel lighter, if you feel more airy, if you enjoy it, then keep that going. But if you find yourself stumbling about and everything is going wrong, your life is a mess and all this here, well, you have talked yourself into that. You have talked yourself into that. Is it easy? Well, it's either easy or it's hard. Whichever one you want to look at. Some people find that changing the way they manifest their minds and things like this here, it's a very easy process for them. Others say it's very hard. Well, the ones who say it's very hard, what are they looking at? Oh, this is hard. Well, flip it over and say this is easy. It's as simple as that. And I know there's some doubters out there that are saying like, no, I've tried that. It doesn't work. Guess what you're doing? You're just telling yourself it doesn't work. We have been told this. And if you look at media, social media and whatever, news, everything is geared to make you afraid. You know, we're gearing up for this. We better prepare for that. Everything has a fear behind it. If you let go of that fear, which is a very low vibration in frequency, a very low vibration, you're not going to feel very good. You're not going to feel very good, and you may feel very fearful, angry, and I'm going to just jump into something here that might be of interest to you. There's a lot of studies that have been done with this here, and the studies, Dr. Joe Dispenza has lots of classes available for this here, and things free, that you can do a lot of the work yourself to find out what's going on and learn more about the things that I'm talking about. The studies that I'm talking about here are the levels of vibrational frequencies. And Dr. Hawkins had put that out. Let me see, I've almost got it. Here we go.
Did you ever go to some of Dr. Hawkins' senseis in Sedona?
Dr. Who?
I don't think it was Hawkins. What was that guy that wrote the book?
Oh,
something
I
about
don't know
sports.
if it's the same one. I don't know if it's the same one. I'm trying to find something. Here we go. Science has found this, and they actually put the little diodes on your head and all this here, and they study the frequencies, and it's quite oh, I just lost it. It's intriguing because used to be this was a very soft science, and it's becoming a much more aligned with the hard scientists and psychiatrists and whatever are looking at this here. And what is happening by this is they can now map the actual frequencies where your mindsets are. And we'll take the bottom one, which is a vibration, a frequency of 20. And that one is shame. Okay. The highest one is 1,000. That's full consciousness. But let's just stay within the realm of the human mind, where you can actually shoot for something like 500, which is singleness of being, self-realization, inner love, and whatnot. And just to make this simpler, anyone who has been alive for a while, who has children or is a child with a loving person in their life and whatnot, they will experience a frequency when they are around someone. They're having a wonderful time, and they love the parent, the child, and all the seer. And that is such a high frequency. And nothing goes wrong when you're in that frequency, when you're hugging a loved one or whatever. There's no room for any hate or dislike or despair, because you're tuned into a frequency. You're just riding that wave. Music can do the very same thing. There's so many things that can happen, a walk in the forest, etc. When you're doing that and you're just feeling completely disconnected from anything in your life, no more stress, no, you're not even aware of your thinking. You're just there. Well, that's a pretty darn nice feeling, and that's a high frequency. That's a very high frequency. So let's go back and see where we start from. Shame. Then we go to 30, which is guilt, and then apathy, and then there's grief, fear. That's 100. Desire. Lots of desire. Nothing wrong with desire, because that's a motivator, but we'll talk about this possibly if we have time. But it's attachment desire, which is an Eastern philosophy thing, where I refuse to be happy until I get that job, until I get this person in my life or whatever. Okay, so you're attaching your happiness to that desire. Until it happens, I refuse to be happy. Well, go meditate on that and see how that's working for you. Then you have pride, courage, neutrality, willingness, acceptance. See, as you get higher up the scale, these things aren't so bad. Courage, neutrality, willingness, acceptance, inner light, inner wisdom, and inner love. So the lower the frequencies. Now, I just talked to you about when you're hugging someone you love, listening to some wonderful music into the forest, and you're just completely out of your mind of form. You're into a high consciousness level. Now, let's just reverse that and think of something, and don't go into too deeply, but just get a taste of something that you can remember that was devastating in your life and whatnot, and brought you down, something that you did, something that was done to you, and you felt terrible. Well, that's a frequency. You're feeling a frequency. Now, consciousness is made up of infinite amount of frequencies. And so even if you're feeling shame, anger, desire, whatever, you cannot imagine just how many shades of that particular frequencies there are. And they're running right next to each other. There's just everything going on within that one frequency. So it's not just, oh, here's a frequency. Yeah, but there's an infinite amount of frequencies within an infinite amount of frequencies. And that's where the mind gets boggled up.
I think we need a vacuum cleaner.
I'm sorry, what?
I think we need a vacuum cleaner.
It could be.
To suck all that stuff out.
See, the stuff is
all those bad frequencies.
The stuff is operating fine. What we have to vacuum is our beliefs, our thoughts, and how we have been programmed, and how we respond to those frequencies. Because if you feel shame and guilt, and as an example, someone who feels shame and wants to really make it a big thing, here's my shame. I'm wearing it as a frock. See my new shame? I wear this all the time. I'm ashamed. We identify with it. We wear it. Mm-hmm. Duh. It's only an emotion. It's an indicator to tell you, here's the frequency you're experiencing. And there's also a little catch to it. It says, by the way, do you want this or not? You have been given the message. You've received the message. You can let it go anytime you want. Now, I think I'll keep the shame for a while. I kind of like the way I feel about this shame thing. It gives me a feeling of life. I'm alive. Okay. And believe it or not, many clients will come and they have this problem they think they have, but really the problem they have is they are addicted to the shame or the guilt of having that problem. So, yeah, you need a vacuum cleaner, you need a comb, a brush, or whatnot, and kind of clean this out. And what it takes is a moment, just a few minutes a day, to calm yourself down and to see what is going on with you. Okay, I don't need to wear the shame. It told me I shouldn't do this. I don't like the feeling of shame. And what it did was I stole a nickel off my parents' dresser, and I felt bad about it. Okay, that was probably your first introduction to guilt or shame or whatever, and you felt bad about it. Well, some of us have just buried that, and we kept going, and now we're full-time thieves. But many of us have been taught, okay, that feeling can be released. You don't have to feel guilty about it. You see, that's an inside indicator that tells you if you're doing good or bad. And I don't mean that as a judgment again. Good or bad always goes to how you feel. You don't like that judgment? I mean that feeling? No. Well, then don't take nickels off my dresser. And you won't have that feeling. Okay, it's as simple as that. It's as simple. See, the physical is easy. If I put my hand over a flame, it's going to hurt. I'm going to say, ow, and I'm going to recoil. But emotions are very sensitive, and we don't I don't know. I don't remember hearing about studying emotions when I was in school. But let's say you feel an emotion and it's hurting you. Unlike the flame burning you, you can't just recoil and make it go away. The emotion, I'm hurting. Well, get rid of it. I don't know what it is. We sit in the darkness in misery trying to get rid of this nasty feeling, and it's just an emotion, and that emotion came from thoughts and daily activity that we have repeated over and over and over again, and we don't know that that's what's making us feel so bad. We have to do some work on ourselves. It's not simple, and it's very simple. The choice is this. Okay, it's simple. I can do it. It's simple. I have no problem doing it. I have all the time, and I'm enjoying it. Or you can say, it's very hard. I don't want to do it, and damn it, I'm not going to. Well, guess what? You just manifested your choices. You have a choice. You have a choice. We live in this world we live in is a dichotomy. There's yes and no. There's this, there's that, okay? Everything in this universe, or should I say, in this realm that we live in, this universe, is based on a dichotomy. Well, there's a reason for that. If there was no boundaries, we would be sitting in infinity, and it's very hard to understand infinity. The best I could ever imagine describing infinity is just say there's always one more.
And we are totally supported of coffee, a cup of coffee. All volunteers here. And and we are totally lucky. So we buy this studio coffee. All volunteers. Yeah, totally listeners support. So we buy this studio coffee. All volunteers. And yeah, we are totally listener supported. So coffee, buy this studio coffee. All volunteers here. And yeah, we are totally listener support. Coffee, buy this studio coffee. All volunteers here. And yeah, we are totally listener supported. So coffee, buy this studio coffee. All volunteers here. And yeah, we are totally listener supported. So coffee, buy this all volunteers here. And yeah, totally buy this studio coffee. Yeah, we are totally here. And yeah, we totally listener supported. So coffee, buy this all volunteers here. totally listener supported. So a coffee by the studio, a cup of coffee. All volunteers here. And yeah, we are totally listener supported. So a coffee by the studio, a cup of coffee. Volunteers here. And yeah, we are totally listener supported. So a coffee by the cup of coffee. All volunteers. And yeah, we are totally listener supported. So a coffee by the studio, a cup of coffee. All and yeah, we listeners supported. So coffee by the all volunteers here. And yeah, we are listeners supported. So by the studio, a cup of coffee. Volunteers here. And yeah, we are totally listeners supported. So coffee by the studio, a cup of coffee. All volunteers here. And yeah, we are totally listeners supported. So coffee by the studio, a cup of coffee. All volunteers here. Yeah, totally so coffee by the studio, a cup of coffee. All volunteers here. And yeah, we are totally listeners supported. So coffee by the and yeah, we are totally listener supported. So coffee by the cup of coffee. All volunteers here. And yeah, we are totally listener supported. So coffee by the studio, a cup of coffee. All volunteers here. And yeah, we are totally listener supported. So coffee by the studio, a cup of coffee. All volunteers here. And yeah, we are totally listener supported. So cup of coffee by the studio, a cup of coffee. All volunteers here.
Steering wheel and she's full force ahead.
Yes, I am. Pedal to the metal.
Yeah. She's got the steering wheel and she's full force ahead.
Yes, I am. Pedal to the metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have a wonderful guest. And you have, like, the first half just flew by. I couldn't believe that we came up on a break there.
Yeah.
It came so quick. And John has been guiding us through our minds and how they kind of operate and how we can get them to operate to benefit.
Yeah,
Just
John and I
changing
got
that
a long
channel.
way.
Yeah.
Trying to keep it simple.
We've had some interesting hypnosis sessions.
Well, I was thinking of talking more about that this after in the latter part, and with Dolores Cannon's experience, or what I found with her was, again, she would have people write down some questions they would want to know, and she would hypnotize them and bring them into a deep state so that they could get the answers themselves rather than get it from who knows who. So anyways, this one lady, a very, very I never did find out her name. It was confidential. She was a jet setter, a real go-getter, very affluential, wealthy, amazing person. And she took a fall down some stairs, broke her leg. It was a pretty serious break. And this was years ago when it took a long time to recoup from things like that back then. And while she was recouping, her friend told her about Dolores Cannon. So she summoned her and made an appointment with her. Dolores had told her, bring in your questions and we'll see what we can find. And I'll be happy to take you on as a client. Well, the lady went in, and of course, one of her biggest questions was, why did I fall down the stairs? Mm-hmm. And it turned out she was quite the medium herself, and she channeled wonderfully. So Dolores Cannon asked her the question, and if those of you are familiar with this here, is when you channel, there's a voice that comes through you, and it's not your own, but it's using your voice box and everything. And Madeline is wonderful at that. And it's freaky the first few times you do it, and then all of a sudden, and it's freaky for the individual who's doing it because they're laying back in their chair and somebody's speaking through them. They're using their body and their voice. Well, this lady was doing it. Dolores asked her, so-and-so would like to know why she fell down the stairs. And the voice from her came, we have been trying to get her to slow down for years. She is not paying attention to our guidance, and we thought it might be a good idea for us to intervene. And so we pushed her down the stairs. Well, if you're not exposed to this stuff, I've had many of them, people who ask questions, and yes, the formless gets involved in it, and their guides and guardians actually do things to make you pay great attention. So when you're not paying attention to what you're being told, as Robert O'Connor used to say, if you don't pay attention and you keep ignoring them, and they keep tapping you, and then they use a stick, eventually they're going to take a 2x4. They're going to hit you over the head because they've got to get your attention for you to move in the right direction. So if you're being stubborn about all this here, pay attention. There's an easier way to do this. You can either ride up front in the front seat with air conditioning, or they're going to drag you behind the car with a rope tied around you. It's how you want to go through this life. And that's what we were talking about here. It's a simple choice. You pick A or B. You have this side. And if you like it someplace in the middle, that's it. But you do have that choice. It is yours. It's not forced upon you. And the biggest issue, the people who have difficulties, and I found it to be true dealing with people in hypnosis, most of my clients had difficulty with depression and hard things, and they just couldn't move. They were stuck in their being. That was my bailiwick. I really enjoyed that, and I had a good clientele of that. And the biggest thing that was to overcome with them was a victim card, that they themselves would not take the responsibility. It was always some outside force doing it to them. This is happening to me. No, you are allowing it to happen to you. You're the one that is manifesting this. And it's important. It's very important. If you want to get unstuck, stop thinking it's happening to you. It is not happening to you. You have designed it. You have built it. You have created it. And that's what you have manifested. So everything you have in your life, be it an old 57 Chevy or whatever, or a brand new Maserati, you're the one that manifests that. And, it's your choice to go for the Maserati if that's what you're looking for. All right?
Yeah, you got to be clear on what it is you want.
Right. Yeah. I studied a lot of different modalities of hypnosis and whatnot, and I felt very, very comfortable in that realm, especially when I had somebody who was really having difficulties, and they were a good channel. And oftentimes there was a connection that they were being infused with things from other spirits and whatnot. And they allowed it. They allowed it because they opened themselves up to it. When you're playing the victim card, you have no power. You have no power. When you're in a low frequency, you have no power. Your power to manifest will come as you get higher. And if you're in a low frequency, you're still manifesting what is happening to you, but not with any effort on your part. It's just that's what's left over. And it's up to you to get out of it. Once you get out of it, then you can just start moving up the ladder and feeling so much better for yourselves. And being there for others, because everyone likes to be around someone who, well, I shouldn't say that. Some people hate being around somebody who's happy all the time because they're not happy and they don't like anyone else being happy. So what I'm saying is, if you find yourself on the darker side of these frequencies, and you're wondering why you don't have the charisma that others have. Once you start changing and once you start moving your attachment to the higher frequencies, you will find that you're going to attract more people with those higher frequencies, because no one likes to be around a person who is dwelling in low frequencies except people who are in low frequencies. So the point is, you will attract to you what you are putting out. I know that's an old law of attraction thing, but it's true. It's true. You get yourself into a good high level frequency, and it doesn't take long. It doesn't take long at all. All it's a matter of flipping negative thoughts. And when you're saying, this, I don't like this over here, change it. I like it. I just rather not have anything to do with it. Don't leave those things down into the apathy, the grief, and above all, the one that is dragging so many people down, especially today in the time that we're in, is fear. There's a lot of fear in the world, and it's created to do exactly what it's doing, to create more fear. Because people who are in fear are easy to manipulate. They will do whatever they can to get out of what they're afraid of. And the thing is, they don't even know what they're afraid of. So let's move on something like this here. What other sort of things do you remember, Madeline, that you'd like to hear about in the hypnosis world or energy?
Or Caroline.
There you go, Madeline.
I'm sorry, of course, Caroline. She's sitting there with a smile, and I don't want to disturb her.
Well, I actually manifested a lot of different things. I mean, I built a house with $600.
Well, for 8 years, you've manifested this radio show. I mean,
well, it's going on not longer than that.
Okay.
Because we had different names, like I just had the names on the top of my head, but they went away.
The gypsy.
Yeah, the holographic gypsies, the universal something or other, the universal hologram or whatever.
I remember.
Yeah, it's more like about 15 years.
Wow.
Right. I always did want to be a radio show host, but it's like, how's that going to work out? Because I never went to school for it.
I remember when you were putting it together. See, you've also manifested a relationship with Caroline. Caroline's
did.
manifested a relationship. So you guys are conjoined dream bubbles and things like this here. So you've attracted yourselves to it because you're both in the same vein of frequencies. And it's easy to see, and that's why I say it gets more fun the more you do this. You start seeing things like, oh, that's how this works.
And I guess I manifested you.
Yeah. There's there are others. You know, we have some wonderful friends, common friends over the years that we've manifested through the radio show and other modalities and such. So I'm not saying go out and get yourself certified to be a hypnotist, but if you want to do it, there's nothing wrong with it. And I tell you what, you will learn so much. Madeline was the one who had asked me if I was interested in hypnosis. I'd never even thought about it. And I said, yeah. And she said, well, I have an acquaintance who is going to be doing a course. Would you like to join it? I said, well, yeah, of course. And again, I never even thought of it before. And from there, it was a springboard. And when I went, I said, well, what am I doing this for? I don't even know what I'm going to do with it. It didn't take long to find out that if you wander through the questions and stop asking them for an answer, just live in the question and see what it's asking, that's a great place, because you're going to see things. If you're looking for the answers, more than likely you're not going to get the right answer anyway. There's a big answer in the universe that will come, and it will surprise you with all the wonderful things you're going to find, like that walk in nature. And when you stop looking for the one thing that you're looking for, you're going to see the million things that are just sitting there for you to appreciate. And that's why when I do hypnosis and meditation and things like that, or teach meditation, it's don't go in looking for the specific thing. You can probably hardwire something in your mind. I'd like to know more about this. But if you think that there's something else more important for me to look at, do that. And then I'll quiet my mind down and go into a meditative state. And when I come back, sometimes I have an answer right there. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I have it in a day, a month. I have been driving before, and I get something in my mind. I said, what the hell is that? And it's some question I'd asked a year ago. And I said, oh, that goes with this. And I didn't need to know the answer, I guess, or I wasn't ready for the answer. It just didn't fit in the timeline. So we think that we're going through this life with a lot of control. Well, there's certain things I guess you can control, your beliefs, but whatever. Caroline.
Yes.
You're on the spot. What would you like to quiz me on, or quiz Madeline on, or whoever?
Okay, well, there's a couple of things. Like, one of the things that I did really like what you said, because that had been a light bulb for me, and it was that it's not, you're not imagining it. Like these escapes, if you want to call them that we envision, they're already there. And that was a big one for me, because
I saw your face when I was talking about
it. Yeah. That was a big one for me. When that happened, that's when I started like, okay, this is not my imagination. Isn't
that wonderful when that comes on? And right there, if I can use this as an example, right there, it rings true because of that feeling you had when you heard it. The light bulb came on, and there was no stress, there was no question, no doubt, no apathy, grief. None of those emotions were there. Everything was clear. Yeah. It's like, ooh. And that's that one moment I'm talking about. that one moment that brings you to frequencies that are so rare for so many of us. To hit them just for a second is like, wow. Wow. I don't know if I could do that again for another year or two. That one just spent me. It's just so overwhelming. And it will last with you, too. It will last with you. So when I hear you talking about that, I hear it and I relate because it's happened to me so many times. What else? What else do we have here?
Well, the one that is like the iffy, right, is and somebody who's been diagnosed with a terminal illness, to tell them that they created that. Like, most, if not, like, a huge percentage of the population don't even think that way, you know? Mm-hmm. They don't think that way. So to me, it seems they don't even have the foundation to be able to unpack it in such a way that they can trace how that disease manifested itself in their lives. You know, so when they hear these things like, you created that, I don't think it helps. Mm-hmm. I don't think it helps. Same way somebody who's been raped. You know, you created that. So I think where I'm at, see, I hear where you're coming from, and I do see it because I have the foundation to see it. But I think for most, they don't. So
you're absolutely right.
How do we do it? How do we do it in such a way where the victim is totally taken away? You know, like that. These are the things that I think about. You know, how can I help somebody to actually to see the patterns in their life, to see the programs that are running, without making them feel worse to begin with? You know, like, I don't know if that made sense. Did that make any sense?
Well, if you look at it as if you are your own creator, you didn't make them feel worse.
Right. Yeah.
You're bringing the news. You're the messenger. Okay? And when we start looking at this here and we start saying like, yeah, but we got to protect this, we got to protect that, we got to protect that. That's some of our things that have been fed to us. Mm-hmm. Now, I have to agree, you don't go into with a client and tell them, well, you created this. That's right. Not what I'm doing on the show here. These mm-hmm. are places, and I love the fact that you picked it up. There is. Right now, I'm basically talking about trying to change people to quit complaining about how their toast was overcooked.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so we start there.
Start small, yeah.
Exactly. And as you grow, as you get in there, and your level of consciousness and the vibrational fields that you are moving with, you will be able to do that, because I know people who I've had clients who died very quickly, not hopefully because of them coming to me, but they came in, they were terminal and whatnot, and they wanted a nice, easy way out of their fear. Now, I certainly didn't say, well, I can't help you. You created this. Okay, but many of them were very enlightened and they knew they created it, but even then they had the fear. So how do you work with that? Now, not everyone is ready for that information.
This is true.
Okay, mm-hmm. Not everyone is ready. And to be honest with you, someone who is not ready in that would not even hear these words. Mm-hmm. Cognitive dissonance has its place. Unfortunately, it's overused. But it has its place, and that place is for that very person who, I can't deal with that at this time. Well, as a practitioner, I will be the first one to say, I'm not going to put you there. I'm not going to put you there.
All but right? Don't you think some people I know I have a few health issues, and I know how I got myself in trouble with the one.
Mm-hmm.
But used to be when people got cancer and so on and so forth, it was anger internalized. But now there's so many things in the world that can make us sick.
Yeah.
Is it still anger, or does the anger manifest with all, I mean, if there's so many people that are sick today, it's astonishing. Every day you hear, oh, so-and-so's in the hospital with this. Oh, so-and-so got, spinal meningitis. They were on a vacation and they died. My God. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. And
there's so many elements with what's going on in the environment.
Mm-hmm. See, what you both have brought up is, earlier I said, maybe we'll talk more about it, is why clarity?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's why all this wonderful stuff is great. It's fun. But the number one thing, if I wanted to manifest something, and this happened to me a long time ago, I chose clarity. I've been working on gaining clarity for years. It's grown exponentially, but there's places I still get stuck at. And that question, how do you deal with someone who's terminal and tell them, you created it? Well, clarity, with full clarity, I would be able to understand that. I do understand it in this respect, that the person who has clarity will be able to deal with it much better than a person who has no clarity but has all the answers to everything else that they wanted in their lifetime. So if we're going to put something together here, the reason clarity is so important is, one, if you have studied and you have an answer for a specific question, okay, let's look at this for a moment. You have that answer. Well, that question might be from a 4-year-old or a 98-year-old. What perception, what perspectives? That question is the same question. How are you going to answer that with one? How are you going to satisfy that question with one answer? You may have to shape it for the 4-year-old and shape it for the 94-year-old. Clarity will allow you to do that because the 94-year-old is not asking the same question. The words were the same as the 4-year-old. The question was framed the same way. The narrative was the same, but emotionally, in depth, they're asking for something completely different. And clarity will lead you to an answer that will satisfy that one and an answer that will satisfy that one, because one answer does not satisfy them both. So your question is wonderful. It has an answer, but it's not going to be the same one for everybody who is terminal.
I'm gonna, John, did you ever deal with a 98-year-old? It's the same as dealing with a 4-year-old.
I've dealt with the 4-year-old. I've dealt with the 4-year-old.
I took care of old people.
Yeah.
Little people.
Well, each
it's
little
not
people.
Too much difference.
Each
they
little
both wear
person.
diapers.
Each little person needs a different answer too. Yeah. You can't ramrod them all with the same. But yes, there's difficult things in this world.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about the simple things like hard toast. Now, if you start there, by the time you're 94 and you just keep working on your clarity and you work with your mind and whatnot, you're not afraid of the death the way that an untrained individual or unfettered individual will be dealing with it. Don't get me wrong. It's not a matter of going up on the mountain and sitting up there and saying Om, Om, Om. That's not what I profess. My thing is find something that makes you happy. And if you're not happy, then dump it and trade it for something that does. People talk about, well, I've got this terrible thought that keeps happening over and over again. Well, trade it in. Yeah, but it keeps happening. Well, just keep trading it in. Keep trading it in. And eventually you will change. One of the hardships that people have is they're told, well, you got to let it go. What does that mean? Let it go. Does that mean you got to get rid of it? If you try to get rid of something, you have empowered it. You have empowered it because now you've created a wrestling match, and it's just going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. An argument, if one side is pulling this way, the other side has the same amount of tension as the one that is pulling because it's holding. So you're not winning anything. There's a means of coming together and to work together. So when you are told, let it go, it simply means lay back, observe it. Let it sit with you. Invite it in. If it's a demon, serve them coffee, tea, whatever they want. Let's have a talk here. Now, what are you doing in my dream here? Why are you here? Obviously, you've got something to say. If you don't, nice meeting you. In other words, you don't wrestle with your difficulties. Letting it go is not getting rid of it. Letting go is coming to grips with it and seeing what it is. Because, see, that's one of the things, that's one of the fine threads, one of the fabrics of the vibration. Get to know every vibration, every fabric that you can. That's what we're here to do, to manifest consciousness, to manifest expression, to manifest our understanding of what this frequency is. People say, oh, you're playing God. Well, my God, I'm going to really catch hell for this. But God is playing God.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's true. It's true. Is that the click of receivers falling down? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I said, who's ever playing God, whether it's he or she, they must be having a very good laugh.
Exactly.
What the hell are they doing?
Yep.
Are you kidding me?
Right.
Wasn't I about peace and love?
Why can't God play? Okay, if He's created everything, He can play. Let Him play.
Well, He was playing the other day. He threw some lightning at the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah. Okay. It's pretty stuff. He does some great work. But Robert O'Connor said the deepest, sincerest prayer is when you're shaking your fist at him and saying, how dare you? Why did you do? Okay. And I have to agree, because I don't think I've ever been so close as when I'm yelling at him and saying in despair, why did you let this happen? Okay. And then I realized, oh, okay. I wasn't smoted then. I wasn't smoted now. We have these beliefs, and all this stuff is what I'm talking about earlier, is we have to let go of these beliefs. Just sit in the wonder. Sit in those beliefs and say, okay, what sense does this make? What's this trying to tell me? There's an infinite amount of others. This one doesn't resonate well with me. I'm going to leave it here. And I've marked it so I can come back to it if I ever need it. I know what it is. I know what it feels like. I understand this frequency. Let me go and play with some more. Okay? Imagine yourself in a pit with all the balls, like in the McDonald's, where the kids are jumping around in the ball house and whatnot. All these balls, those are for us to be jumping in. We're in a realm just like that. We don't see them, but they're right there. All these vibrations are passing through you. Which one do you want to pick? You have that choice. You don't believe it? Well, guess what? You won't exercise your choice. You cannot exercise your choices if you are low frequency, if you doubt, if you don't believe, if you are stuck in a low frequency and you like it and you enjoy it. You're going to be there. Why? Because you picked it. You chose it. And you can never be wrong. Even Henry Ford said that. that you have the right to interfere that you have cross to another station or dreamboat that you have the right to interfere with. Into the person's manifestation there, dreamboat. You into another station or dreamboat that you into another person's manifestation there, dreamboat that you have the right to interfere with. Another person's manifestation there, dreamboat that you have the right to interfere with. Into another person's manifestation there, dreamboat that you have the right to interfere with. You into another person's manifestation there, dreamboat that you have the right to interfere with. You into another person's manifestation there, dreamboat that you have the right to interfere with. Into another person's manifestation there, dreamboat that you have the right to interfere with. You into another person's manifestation dreamboat that you have the right to interfere with. Another person's manifestation there, that you have the right into another person's manifestation there, you have crossed into another person's manifestation there, dreamboat that you have the right to crossed into another person's manifestation dreamboat that you have the right to crossed into another person's manifestation there, dreamboat that you have the right to interfere with. To another person's manifestation there, dreamboat that you have the right to interfere with. Into another person's manifestation there, dreamboat that you have the right to interfere with. Into another person's manifestation their dreamboat that you have the right to interfere with. Into manifestation, their dream, that you have the right to interfere with. If you cross into another person's manifestation, their dream, that you have the right to interfere with. If you've crossed into another person's manifestation, their dream bubble, that you have the right to interfere with them. just dealing with everyday situations.
Caroline, her show comes up next, Navigating the Truth.
Yeah, I think I'm going to dive into mercury, like the substance mercury.
Oh, I thought we were going to talk about Mercury
I'm going to talk
retrograde.
about that. No. Well, it's kind of timely, but it's not really about Mercury retrograde.
It is, isn't it? Mercury retrograde,
it is.
And then we got the full moon eclipse or the sun eclipse or whatever is eclipsing on Monday, and we have earthquakes on the East Coast. Jeez,
Well, it is an election year.
And I'm sitting here, the walls are shaking. It's a paranormal experience.
I love how your mind went there. Yep.
That was funny.
Did they say, like, was it in the bedrock, like the earthquake? Like, did they mention anything?
The epicenter was in Lebanon,
New York,
New Jersey.
New Jersey. Okay.
Yeah. New Jersey, which I don't think is that far away from New York, but
no, it was felt in New York.
Yeah, New York. Well, it was felt all the way up to Maine, and I think out to Ohio. Yeah.
Did that not happen before? Did that not happen before there was an earthquake like that and it was felt all the way up?
Don't know. It's rare.
Well, I think maybe they were talking on the news at 2:11 and something else. Here's the music. Thank you for listening to
Thank you.
Life in the Hologram.